Welcome to the Garikship Corrosion channel. My name is Maryam Ehtishamzadeh. An introduction to this channel is available on video number E28. Chapter 9, Section 1, Risk-Based Inspection, RBI. General aspects of RBI, scope of API, RP 580, benefits and limitations of RBI. The reference, elements of a risk-based inspection program, API recommended practice 580. General aspects of RBI. Risk-based inspection is a methodology for optimizing inspection plans by assessing the probability and consequence of equipment failure. It involves analyzing the risk of asset components failing, ensuring mechanical integrity. RBI allows for a proactive approach to maintenance, focusing inspection efforts on the highest risk assets to improve safety and reduce costs. This process aids in extending equipment lifespans and preventing potential failures. Risk-based inspection is an analysis methodology and process that, as opposed to condition-based inspection, requires qualitative or quantitative assessment of the probability of failure (POF) and the consequence of failure (COF) associated with each equipment item, piping circuits included, in a particular process unit. A properly implemented RBI program categorizes individual pieces of equipment by their risks and prioritizes inspection efforts based on this categorization. What is risk? Risk is the product of the probability of an event occurring during a time period of interest, or POF, and the consequences, generally negative, associated with the event, or COF. Risk equals probability times the consequence. Probability of failure. Probability of failure is likelihood that a piece of equipment will fail at a given time and an important part of effective risk analysis. POF is half of the equation when determining risk as part of risk-based inspection methodology. The POF calculated together with the consequence of failure, or COF, helps operators establish the risk level for a particular piece of equipment and set inspection intervals based on the calculated risk. POF is calculated for individual pieces of equipment by looking at the potential damage mechanisms it could be susceptible to, a general frequency of failures, and management system factors. Consequence of failure. Consequence of failure, or COF, is one part of the equation to determine risk as part of risk-based inspection methodology. COF is calculated by reviewing and ranking the potential consequences of the equipment, personnel, environment, etc. in the event of equipment failure. More details on COF are given in API RP 580 Risk-Based Inspection, which contains directions on developing, implementing, and maintaining an effective RBI program. API American Petroleum Institute recommended practice 580 is specifically targeted to the application of RBI in the hydrocarbon and chemical process industries. RBI assessment benefits and limitations. An RBI program can provide the following benefits. A. Identification of risk drivers. 1. Damage mechanisms and damage modes. 2. Equipment with insufficient or inadequate inspection history. 3. Consequence-driven equipment not impacted by inspection. 4. Safety, health, environmental, and/or economic consequences. B. Development of an inspection plan. 1. techniques and methods to be used for proper detection and quantification. 2. Establishment of the extent of inspection, for example, percent of the total area to be examined or specific locations. 3. Provision of the inspection interval or next inspection date, timing. C. Optimization of resources. D. Identification of mitigation activities which can further reduce risk for the facilities and equipment assessed. E. Acceptance, understanding of the current risk. And F. Provision for other applicable risk mitigation activities, including but not limited to 1. Establishing and maintaining integrity operating windows IOWs. 2. Reducing personal exposure to high-risk areas. 3. Upgrading to materials of construction less susceptible to degradation. 4. Reducing the consequence of failure, for example, limiting inventory detection and mitigation controls. 5. Repair or replacement. The risk assessment can identify equipment that does not require inspection or mitigation because of the acceptable level of risk associated with the equipment's operation. In addition, there can be synergies between the RBI process and process safety management and turnaround activities that may further decrease the amount of inspection-related activities. These synergies can lead to a potential decrease in operating expenses while also reducing the facility risk. An RBI assessment is limited by and will not compensate for 1. Inaccurate or missing information. 2. Inadequate design, faulty equipment installation, or inadequate testing or commissioning of equipment. 3. Operating outside the acceptable process limits, for example, not to exceed limitations, IOWs, etc. 4. Not effectively executing the plans. 5. Lack of qualified personnel or teamwork. 6. Lack of sound engineering or operational judgment. 7. Lack of follow-up on inspection findings or recommendations. And 8. Construction and fabrication errors. Challenge number 39. Thank you for your time and attention. If you'd like to challenge yourself, please answer these questions in the comments below. 1. What's risk? 2. How is POF calculated? 3. How is COF calculated? 4. What are the benefits and limitations of RBI assessment?